Broadcasting from coast to coast and around the world, it's time for Animal Talk with some of the best doggone pet people on the planet. Dr. Brad Davis, DVM and Chief of Staff for the Veterinary Centers of America. Donna Fournier, our animal behaviorist. Brian Barczak, wrangling the reptiles. And I'm Jamie Flanagan. Here it is, Animal Talk. All right, so it's been 40 years. That equals about a foot a year, I would assume. We're talking about Ziggy, and we have the creator with us, Tom Wilson. Tom, welcome to the show.
Hi, Jamie. How are you?
Good. So, do I have the height estimation just about right there?
I have a 40 years / 4 foot height ratio. I had never thought of that before. Yeah, I think you got it about right.
All right, there you go. And so Ziggy, just the lovable character, been fighting the good fight for a long time, and we're just so glad that you had some time to chat with us. Now, you did not originate Ziggy. This is something that you inherited from your father. When did you take it over?
Well, I've done Ziggy since the 80s. It's been actually 26, 25 years now.
Okay.
So Dad has, started Ziggy about 40 years back, actually 40 years to this month. It was a very gradual thing. Rather than inheritance, I think it was more like work and training together, because we drew together for a number of years, and he let me do writing, and then I started doing inking, and then as his health did suffer a lot over those past years, and gradually it was just a very smooth transition into doing more and more.
So how long will you take Ziggy? I mean, you've been doing it for over half of his existence. How long will you take Ziggy? Will you pass the torch on, or will Ziggy remain a family member and just kind of, where's he going?
Yeah, that's a good, whoops. Are you there? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I heard a buzz in the background there.
Yeah.
It's funny, I hadn't, 40 years just arrived without thinking about it. I haven't thought too much in the future. I hope that Ziggy is out 50 years or 60 years, and as long as I'm able to draw it, I will.
Yeah.
I have two boys. They're both, they love art, and they love to draw, but right now they're in college. They're going into different things, marketing and business. So, I don't know if anything should happen to me, who'd be taking over Ziggy. I do think he has a life of his own after all these years, and I love that about him.
Yeah.
So, maybe I'll just have to try and stick around as long as possible.
Now, are your sons? Do they have an interest in the art?
It's funny. They always, just like I did with my dad when I was growing up, I mean, we drew a lot, and they always loved to draw. But often what happens with a lot of kids as they get older, teachers, things like that, say, okay, well, it's great you can draw and you love that, but now let's get into the more important things and focus on this and, forget about that. And gradually they, as they grew older, they still like art. They still like to draw, but not to the extent where I think they want to do it for a living. But that could change, I suppose. I knew I always wanted to be an artist, and I always loved, I studied painting and fine art at Boston University and Miami University. So, and, my whole family were artists. My mom was a painter, too, my sister. So it was kind of a natural thing.
Yeah. So Ziggy's family in the strip, he has some friends with him, and they're his pets. Who are his companions there? He's got a bird, a cat, and a dog.
Yeah, he's actually got his family grew over 40 years too. His first pet was Fuzz, the dog.
Uh-huh.
I remember Dad sort of designed him as a canine version of Ziggy. They're kind of from the understanding that the longer you spend with your pet, the more you start to look like one another.
Which is true.
So he's got a big round nose like Ziggy, and he's kind of a sweet, white guy. He has a cat named Sid.
Mm-hmm.
Sid came from a cat my dad had when he was a boy.
Huh?
And a goldfish. I don't know when Ziggy acquired a goldfish, but it was kind of a good pet for Ziggy, who spends a lot of time at home. But most recent addition to Ziggy's family was Josh, the parrot, which came directly from a parrot that I had when I just got married.
Oh.
My wife loved birds, and so we got this pet parrot named Josh. Very cantankerous, and actually turned out to be a Josephine, but when she laid eggs, we didn't realize that when we bought her. But it was kind of a nice, addition to Ziggy's menagerie, his family.
Sure. Who gives him the hardest time? It seems like the bird gives him the hardest time.
Josh the parrot, probably the toughest time. A lot due to his personality, but also the fact that really he's the only one that can talk back to Ziggy.
There you are.
And, actually give him some lift there as far as what he's expressing himself. So,
how do you keep it fresh after 40 years? How do you keep it fresh? How do you do that?
Well, it's funny. I as far as fresh goes, I mean, there's everything, especially over 40 years and 7 days a week of meeting deadlines, and you have 7 cartoons, one for each day. You're bound to get in some ruts or repeat yourself, which I have done many times.
Uh-huh.
I realize, oh wow, I did that 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's tough. The best editor I have really is Ziggy himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I get an idea or there's something I'm trying out with him. Ultimately, he has the last word. He says this works, this does not work. His personality is such that, certain types of humor, a gentle type humor, works better with him than, say, something more caustic or dramatic. So that he helps with that. But, the main thing is funny, no matter how much times change for all of us, trends change, where computers are here, now there's social media. I mean, all these things, we still, no matter how many years go by, we react to them in our own way, and Ziggy does that. So to add the contemporary twist, I think Ziggy stays pace with the times and changes with them, even though really he doesn't change from inside too much.
Hey, the more the more they change, the more they stay the same. It's just the human condition. The South Park had an episode where they every little bit they tried to do, it was the catchphrase for the episode was "Simpsons did it, because they were trying to think of something new and interesting to do, and it was so hard because it's all been done before. Do you read other comics, or do you avoid them in order to not accidentally pull something?
No, I wouldn't consciously avoid other comics. I grew up loving them. I still read, from time to time. I read, go back to my archives of Far Side books.
Oh, I love those.
Which I've always loved, Calvin and Hobbes. And, and I love Peanuts, for a number of years. So, no, they're all influences, but only in a positive way.
Mm-hmm.
Cartoonists have a funny life. We sit in our little dark rooms and we draw, and and then we run out to make our deadlines, and we're either running to FedEx, on Thursday afternoons, or Kinko's, or somewhere to scan in our art, and send it to the syndicate. And after that, we don't really know what happens to it. It's out there. Millions of people get it a week or two afterwards.
Right.
And so we're already on to the next week. So it's a kind of we lead a kind of monastic existence sometimes as far as as far as other other work out there, even our own work. A lot of us only look at when when we're drawing it, and then it leaves and has a life to other people out there.
Sure. Is Ziggy available? Where is Ziggy available? Where are you guys distributed now?
Well, we're all over the world now. We've got hundreds of papers in this country, and then of course online papers. They all have their online comics now.
Yeah.
We pick up a lot of new European and I think Middle East. I mean, South America, Central America. He's pretty much worldwide now.
He is everywhere.
Yes, and it's kind of exciting to think that even after 40 years, there are some people that are seeing him for the first time. And aren't familiar with the character the way most of us in this country are. We have website Ziggy.com.
Okay.
Is a great place to see collections of Ziggy's, and they're posted. Another one is GoComics, oneword.com/Ziggy, and that's one through the syndicate that there's all kinds of Ziggy info and again archives and stuff like that. So yeah, he's actually around in many more ways and in a larger distribution than he's been over the past 40 years. He's changed in that way too with the times.
That was going to be my question about how has the digital age impacted Ziggy, because I found that GoComics.com, and I was going through, and it was interesting because he's confronted with a Kindle, and there's a cell phone app that bops him in the nose, and so there's contemporary problems that Ziggy's facing, but they're just the typical Ziggy problems. But what I thought was interesting was there was one I think about a week ago, and it was the parrot was giving him a hard time, saying, "Well, if you're such a big hotshot cartoon character, why don't you have your own cereal?" Which was pretty funny, and Ziggy's just sitting there, with that defeated look on him. But what was interesting was the responses on that GoComics.com. The fans, they started coming up with serial names. I don't know if you ever check those out, or do you ever?
I look in on them periodically, and I not each day, but I can go back and check that one. I'm curious what they came up with.
Yeah, it was. They were fun. They were just kicks because he's always getting kicked, and then a couple other people made up names of cereals. Do you ever comment? Do you ever interact with the fans on those sites?
I look in on them, and I do answer fan mail as often as I can. And so, we collected for a while, and we'll get to it. I try to. I'm not as technically savvy, but yes, I do look in on the work, and I do. I try to keep pace with everything. I'm raising a couple of boys here at home, and so I have a life, a Ziggy life, and then a home life too. They have quite a bit.
So when someone sends fan mail, do they send it to Tom Wilson or do they send it to Ziggy?
They send it to the syndicate, Andrews McNeil Universal. Universal Press Syndicate is our syndicate, and.
But do the letters say "Dear Tom" or "Dear Ziggy"?
Actually, it's usually addressed to me, and it's saying, the standpoint of, it's almost like, we know that, Ziggy, you're responsible for Ziggy, and thank you for bringing him in. I mean, there's a variety of different letters, of course,
sure.
But. I feel honored that they tend to associate me with something that they're willing to take that time and actually put a letter together and mail it in and address it, Ziggy in my care almost.
Well, that is wonderful. Tom, I just want to congratulate you on the 40 years. And wishing you and Ziggy many more. He's brought a lot of happiness into a lot of homes, a lot of smiles, and I guess that's what we all try to do, right? Just bring a few smiles about.
Yep, I agree with you.
And so, thanks so much for taking some time, and thanks for all the laughs.
Jamie, thank you too.
All right, you have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that'll do it for another installment of Animal Talk. Thanks for being with us, and thanks for supporting our sponsors. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Animal Talk Radio, and of course the website, animaltalkradio.com. We'll see you next time on Animal Talk.